Hi there, Scorpio. Welcome to the first half of February 2017 general tarot reading. It's Raina here. And so I was trying to think right when I was recording, which is probably not a good order of things to do. I should probably think before I press the record button about this eclipse that's occurring for you in February, during this time frame. To be exact, it's on February 10th. And it's in Leo, so I'm assuming that is your 10th house of career. Because Virgo, it's your 10th house of career. You're going to have an eclipse there, a lunar eclipse. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, lunar eclipses are full moons that are very powerful. Okay, so what happens during full moons? Well, people say endings, right? Well, yes, sometimes. Eclipses might be even more the case because it's almost like a tidal wave, of something leaving. But it can't just be that, because there can be other things happening, like perhaps just like a full moon, you have recognition. The 10th house is at the top of your chart, and it has to do with your status in the world and your reputation therein and thereof. So perhaps, someone just bursts on the scene and is seen, it's kind of like overnight success type of a thing. I don't know if that would necessarily be a good example of that. But, let's look at it this way. If it is endings, and by the way, in the major arcana, Scorpio is the card of death, the death card, number 13. So even if there was some kind of an ending, it's for your highest good. So don't even worry about it. These are things that happen in life. And as I said with Aquarius, these eclipses, they're always seen as very important and influential periods of time. But in my experience, just based on last fall when we had eclipses in Virgo and Pisces, it's not like my world was just like totally changed. And if it hits a planet in your 10th house and it's close enough of an orb, then it probably will have a much greater effect. But just having a full moon, or I should say a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse in a particular house, may not yield that dramatic change that everyone talks about. Because I'm just, I'm being a scientist about this in my own life, and it just doesn't work that way. And maybe it's on a subtler level. Who knows? Just don't take it seriously. And in the best case scenario, it could be something really amazing. I love synchronicity. Ooh. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Yeah, I definitely see endings. And if this is a career situation, you're going to be doing it for two reasons. One is you're going to get something better. You see, and that's something we keep forgetting that happens. One door closes, another opens. And sometimes, maybe like a lot of times, if you are a very conscious person And when I say that, I'm also talking about just intuitively connected, which a lot of Scorpio people are. You will already know that the era is over, and it could be all over but the shouting. Things have not transpired to the extent where something has officially ended, but you can see the end is in sight. You may not know how it's going to happen. Now, this brings up a really important point, because I did Aquarius, as I just said, I did them right before you as the first batch of videos. And Aquarius is another fixed sign like Scorpio. So you guys have a tendency to be adverse to change. Maybe in some areas you don't mind it, but in general, I would say that is pretty how it goes. And people like you or your sign, and speaking of Aquarius too, you may kind of wait it out and allow things to just happen so that you don't have to take action. And so that's where those eclipses come along, because then it's like, okay, out with the old, in with the new. What's the old? Well, this is the old. This is the old situation. Could be a job that's just not happening and you know it, but you just are afraid to actually make that first move. For whatever reason, either, you're like afraid that even if you have a new job offer, that it might not work out, and then where would you be? You wouldn't have the old job and you wouldn't have the new job. But it could just be that, because I got that card for, in a different position, but I got that card for Aquarius too. And it's like something that is much more aligned with you because you're a water sign. So you feel things. That's how you go through life, feeling things. And you may have had a job where you had, great status or great money or both, and it still wasn't where it was at. And so now you have this chance, and yet you're still resisting. In personal relationships, same deal. Something is over. And something, now, because the 10th house is Leo, maybe it is a Leo. Maybe that's where that eclipse, and even though that's your career sector, maybe there's a person that's associated with that sign that's involved. In the upcoming period, or what you may choose to do is to make that conscious decision to leave a situation that is no longer serving you. This would, for a personal relationship, this would mean that the person is probably an air sign, to be honest with you. Maybe it is an Aquarius. We're in that time, and that there's that polarity between Aquarius and Leo that's activated at the time of that lunar eclipse with the sun in Aquarius. But in any case, the other air signs, by the way, are Libra and Gemini, and this could just be their signature, their energetic signature that has to do more with their, how they view the world, which is coming from a more, detached and intellectual point of view, rather than your way of seeing things, or is through your heart chakra. And actually, that could be part of the clash, because you may constantly accuse them of not caring, and then they're like, screw this, and you're the one that decides. I mean, when I say, and sorry for being crude, but they may be like tuning out, but you're the one that actually ends up leaving, because something may begin that gives you this sense that there's something better out there. Now, it could be you're dealing with personal problems and a new job comes in that is connected to you in a very soulful way. And that may extend into your love life, where you're realizing that you've been wasting a lot of energy trying to deal with somebody that you're basically incompatible with. And, you could be using this energy in a creative way, because the cups relate to creativity too. And so a new creative project or a new job that involves creativity could be featured. And you're like, wow, this is something that I can really sink my teeth into. And I've been kind of living my life through this relationship. And that's pretty ridiculous. Why am I doing that? I'm leaving. Now, the higher message in all of this is whenever I get the Hangman card, I'm always like looking and saying, okay, is this the right, because it's supposed to be like this. So this is a reversed Hangman. This can indicate useless sacrifice, okay, in some way. So the Hangman is connected to Neptune. Neptune is connected to Pisces. Maybe this person, if this is a love situation, could be a Pisces individual. Come to think of it, a fellow water sign. But you may, since this is a spiritual message, it may be kind of like telling you what exactly is going on at a deeper level concerning everything that has happened for you in the recent weeks. Or, this is all just kind of, we don't have to assign exact weeks or anything, but just in the recent period of time, is that, it may have been saying that you wasted too much time trying to make something happen that was not happening. And this could also, this definitely could be in your private life, because this is where it ends up. It shows itself a lot of times. And all the fixed signs, are very loyal. But truth be told, they also are adverse to change. So there's some of that is in there. But there's a protective quality and something that, wants to protect, well, I was going to say, and wants to uphold the dignity of the person that you're with. So I don't want to, gloss over that either. But there's also, I feel the tendency sometimes, even for a sign that I consider very powerful, like Scorpio, to be submissive in relationships, probably because you're a feminine sign. The water signs are feminine. The earth signs are feminine. It's the fire and the air signs that are masculine. And especially if you're dealing with either an air sign or a fire sign individual, and that is the person who you're having problems with, they are going, it may end up being a masochistic type of a situation, because you're going to feel submissive to that masculine energy even more so. And so the tendency is going to be to kind of allow them to dictate the terms of the relationship, which is not really what is typical for a Scorpio person. But you may have that one area of your life, in your love life, which is very kind of submissive. And you may even enjoy being submissive. I'm not talking about S&M. I'm just talking about basic behavioral patterns. There are some people who are very high-powered in their careers, and then when they're in their private life, they want to be submissive in general. They don't want to have to make all the calls and control everything. They even want to have somebody else do that. And especially for the women, I would say, because, you know, that would be a double feminine energy, being a female. You may be a career woman, and you may even have people that you manage, and when you're at home, you're like reverting back to a traditional relationship. And I'm talking about a heterosexual relationship where the man is, you kind of allow the man to take charge. And for you, that may feel completely acceptable and preferable. But in this particular situation, you may have allowed that to go on too long. That's all I'm saying. And same thing with career. Maybe you overlook things that you should have dealt with right away. I believe I got this in the same position with Aquarius. So again, I think that, because what are the odds, really? And I think that what I would say about that is that maybe as fixed signs, you both are avoiding these transitions, and especially with this month being eclipse month, that you, in February, that you have to make sure that you see, if this is true for you, by the way, and if it's not, then just forget about it. But if you do sense that there's like ending, may not have happened, but it's, you know that the end is near in something in your life, then just embrace it and don't try to resist it, because this is about resisting that closure, and that sense of like closing one door to open another, because this is the last card of the major arcana. If you resist the change, you can't move on to the next phase. There's going to be unfinished business, and that's what you're trying to, transcend and just, kind of like come to terms with, I guess is the better way of putting it. The advice, or what is coming in, is related to the Page of Swords. You're going to be on, I was going to say on guard, but that's not what I mean. I think you're going to be in sleuthing mode. You're going to be wanting, and this is right up your alley, even though this is connected to air energy. You are a natural researcher and a natural detective as a Scorpio, so you can get to the bottom of things and find things out. If there's something going on that people are trying to sweep under the rug, you will probably uncover it at some point. And maybe this is connected to, that could be also with the eclipse, is that you find something out at your place of employment that really serves you. It could also relate in your private life to the same thing, where you need to kind of figure something out about somebody, and maybe they're not forthcoming. And it may not be because you want to stay with that person. You may need to do it anyway for some other reasons. Let's say it was a spouse, and you're saying, yeah, I'm getting divorced, but you need to find out more information because you're really feeling like maybe that you've been living a lie, or that other person has been deceptive in some way. And now you're being a detective about it. You're trying to ferret out the truth, maybe. But it could also be that you're going to be dealing with an air sign, possibly somebody from the past. So we're talking about, again, Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini. The outcome is the Two of Wands. This could involve having to make a choice. It could be about moving. You could be either, maybe you're receiving an offer, but it involves travel and you're not sure that you want to do that. Maybe you're choosing between the current job that you know is dead in the water, but it's still available to you if you want to continue at it, or a new job. The ace represents newness, beginnings. Maybe it's two people, and one of them is a fire sign. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. If this is the case, if you are choosing between an air sign and a fire sign, the air sign person likely has done something. I would say, that there's some reason that you are suspicious of this person. So you may want to get away from them, but perhaps you still have feelings, and that's what's kind of keeping you there. There are obviously, in a general reading, it's going to be different for everybody. And one thing I wanted to say about this world card, I don't think I said that with Aquarius, and I should have, is that the world card can literally mean, because now that I think about it with this Two of Wands, is that you may have a travel offer, but you may be concerned about it for some reason. Maybe you don't really want to move, but it'd be really good for your business. So that's something that you may be grappling with, that the Two of Wands represents. Now, obviously, it's possibly a dilemma, but in any case, it looks like you have a lot of movement and you have a new beginning. So that's really cool, Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below this video to go to my web store. Otherwise, have a great beginning of February. Bye.